Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to review these motors. If you don't know what these motors are, these are MepsKing motors. Yep, the controversial motor, the controversial manufacturer. They sent me these motors. We're going to talk about the them sending these motors contract, and then I want to do a comparison of this motor to this motor. I'm not going to flying. I'm not going to put these on my quad. I'm not going to do that. I was going to talk about what it looks like to me from the outside, look at quality of manufacturing, take these two motors apart, look at those, compare some specs, and just some general discussion about them. I'm not going to get into flying them. You've seen flying videos with the motors. You've seen the durability tests with the motors. And I'm going to take it from a different approach and compare this motor, which they sell for 20 bucks, and this motor, which you can get for 13 bucks. So, and should you pay an additional 7 bucks for this motor versus 13 bucks for this motor, and what do I think about that? So I want to show you packaging, how these motors came, and then we're just going to I'm going to take an overall outside look at these things, and then we'll take them apart, and we're going to kind of look at them on the inside when we take the bell off, and just give you my thoughts on it and what I think. So if you're interested to find out what I think about it in a very non-biased way, not paid for this stuff, probably not going to be a good review of these. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I'm just going to give you my honest opinion, looking from the outside, looking at specs, all that kind of stuff, construction, everything, and what I think about it. I'm not actually going to fly them. Motors, you know, they are what they are. Durability, it is what it is. As far as that goes, what comes down to is what do you think you're getting bang for your buck on these, and what I think about that. So let's show you the packaging, and then we'll break these things down and talk about specs, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Okay, was watching back my footage and realized I didn't talk about the contract. So let's talk about the contract. Yes, they sent me a contract, and yes, it basically was the same as the one that you saw on Bardwell's channel. It's all the craziness that they didn't like, and I didn't like that. So when they sent that to me, I replied back to them like, nope, not interested. And I was upset at that. Well, some time went by, they replied back, and they're like, why not? And I said, because of the contract. I'm not going to just give you, praise and adoration for these motors. I'm going to give you an honest review. I want to give you, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that kind of stuff. And, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put your logos everywhere. I'm not going to give you, a chance to review the review, any of that kind of stuff. It's going to be what it's going to be, and you can either take it or leave it. And so I sent that back to them, and they replied back, sure. I was like, okay, now you send me back an updated contract with those changes that I requested. So they sent me back a updated contract with those changes that I requested. And I was like, sure, okay, I'll do it. So sent that back to them. They sent me the motors. Now, I have noticed that they have updated their contract since all of this mess. So if you saw Chris Riley's video, he was like, no, that's not the contract that they sent anybody, blah, blah, blah. Well, Chris, it actually was the contract that they sent to the people. They have just since changed the contract. And the new contract, from what I saw on yours, definitely was much better and much more in line with what I signed. So for that, that's a good thing. So maybe there's some redeemable quality in all of this mess, but I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to get into that. Let's get into the review of the motor. Just wanted to set the record straight on the contract, what they sent me, what I did, and what they did in response to that. And that's what I would tell anybody. If someone sends you something, hey, you want to review this? Here's the contract. And you don't like the contract? Respond back and be like, here's the changes I need. And if they don't do it, then don't review it. But if you're okay with it, then do it. I mean, it's up to you. Just you do whatever you got to do. So that's what I did. And anyways, onto the review. Okay, so we'll start with the Velux. Comes in a package like this. Now I've already opened these things, and so you're going to see the packaging stuff all torn. I try to put them basically back in like they were. When you open this up, it's a fairly simple thing. It's just in a little plastic bag. Motors in there, and then it's got some screws and nuts and whatnot, and a sticker down there. And that's basically just a. Most motors I get come packaged very similar to this, at least on the inexpensive ones. More expensive motors generally have a little better packaging. So we'll compare that now to the MEPS motor. Very nice packaging. I mean, very pretty. They've got the little silica packet, which is nice to have in there, keeps things, and they're packaged in there really nice and neat. So packaging, you know, definitely kudos to MepsKing for that, but you are paying an additional $7 for this motor versus the other motor. So if packaging is important, then that's one thing to consider. You know, something that's packaged well definitely is going to bode better as far as shipping and stuff in general. But something that's small and the way that they would ship them, probably not going to matter all that much. This comes with, you know, nuts and a bolt and some spare stuff, just like the T-motor. But packaging definitely goes to MepsKing there for that one. But they, you know, are a little more expensive. Okay, so looking at this motor, a couple things that I've noticed when looking at this one versus looking. Let me get the T-motor out here. Versus the T-motor. A couple things that I've noticed that I prefer on this one versus this one. So overall, I mean, it's a pretty motor. You know, both motors are pretty. Feels about the same kind of. Actually, the T-motor feels a little smoother. I can still feel the notches in here, but it's a lot smoother. Not as notchy. This is a little more notchy. In practice, I've never seen that make any difference in the end. Although the notchiness feels a little weird on this one. Feels notchier, but not quite notchy. This feels much smoother. In general, that's usually magnets and how they're placed in there. So yeah, so I like the smooth feel on this one a little bit better. Couple things I noticed though, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. If I get my camera to focus or not, probably not. Anyways, the base here, the T-motor base, is substantially thicker than the MepsKing motor. And with this thicker base, in practice for me, I found the thicker base to be a much better, much better for tightening down the motors and getting them on the quad and, you know, nice snug form, keep them from coming loose, that sort of thing. If you're using Loctite, it doesn't make that much of a difference. But one thing I didn't like about this, there's a little bit of a gap here. So you got these little, I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's these little, it's not smooth. Like this is just a smooth, keep doing that. This is just a smooth, flat, I mean, aside from the screw coming up there, this base is just smooth. This one is not smooth. It has, basically they've made these have little extrusions popping out. Man, I wish this would focus. It really won't focus though. Anyways, little extrusions. Maybe I'll see if I can get some pictures up close to show you there. But there's little extrusions popping out there. And one thing that Fly High said with his was that these cut into the carbon, and I can see why now. With these little extrusions, they're like little blades popping out there. So when you tighten down, these are going to dig into the carbon and probably damage your carbon. It's a possibility. If you use the, I don't have you handy, but if you use like the little TPU things underneath your motors, I know that's not really much of a thing anymore, it used to be a thing, then that wouldn't matter so much. But these are definitely will dig into your carbon there on that. Man, I really wish I could get that to focus. I need a better camera. So that's one thing I noticed. The MepsKing is a single strand motor. The T-motor, but around multi-strand. In general, single strand is better overall, although there's a slight better magnetic field with the multi-strand when they're done right. A lot of multi-strand motors are not done right. These T-motors are very clean and neat. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Even with the single strand here, this is a little messy. Not terrible, just slightly messy on the single strand, on the wrappings. So MepsKing says this is a unibell. This one is obviously not a unibell. know if this is a Unibell or not. I've seen their videos and I've seen pictures showing to the contrary. And just looking at this does not look like a Unibell to me. And if you run your fingers across here, you can feel right in here, you can feel there's a little notch right in here. Now, maybe that's just the way they've got this grinded. I don't know. And I'm not going to be able to tell, even when I take the bell off probably, but I'm going to take a look and see if I can tell. But this does not feel like a Unibell to me. Weight-wise, this one is about 1.5 grams heavier. This one comes in at 32.6 on my scale, and this one come in at 31.3. So 1.3 grams heavier for this one. The wiring on the T-motor feels better. They look about the same if you just kind of visually look at them. They look about the same. This wiring feels better. It doesn't have the same, you know, when you get a little cheaper wire, you can kind of like kink it and do that kind of stuff. You can't really do that so much with this, but on the Meps, you most definitely can. See, I mean, like, don't touch this. You can definitely kink this around and it'll kind of hold shape. Generally what I found is when that happens, the wiring is not as good. This is silicone, feels like silicone, but the wire inside does not feel the same. See, look at that, you can kink it. This one, if I can get the kink, yeah, I guess I can. It's a little more difficult. It doesn't kink as well. You know, that's a minor thing. Like I said, these are both silicone. This just feels a little better. The silicone coating feels a little better on this one, to me. I don't know. They're about the same thickness as far as I can tell. I think the T-motor might have a little thicker coating. That might be why it feels a little bit better to me than this, but it's minuscule difference. So minor difference there. So as far as design on the top, the MepsKing has all kinds of these little rib things popping out here. And the T-motor just has a few. The T-motor pieces come from the center to the outer are definitely thicker than the MepsKings, but the MepsKings has more. I don't know if it's a wash on that, but generally thicker is better. These look pretty durable. So far in practice, flying these have been really durable. So they've been through a lot of crashes and have held up well. I had one motor seize up on me, and I couldn't tell. When I looked at it, I couldn't see any physical problem, but it was seizing up, so I don't know exactly what happened there, but I've had one do that. These haven't flown, so I can't say that, but just take some evidence from others on durability. They don't seem to hold up all that well, but maybe that's just, you know, anecdotal. I don't know. I'm not gonna fault them. I've not flown them. I'm not planning on flying them. So, you know, if somebody wants these motors later, hit me up. I'll send them to you. And you can tell what you find out on durability. Yeah, so let's take these things apart, take the bells off, and take a closer look at the insides and see what we have there and do a comparison with that. And then I want to talk a little bit about specs at the end, at least what the manufacturers say. I don't have any actual test results on that. I'm just going to give you the manufacturer results, and they seem to fall in line with some of the other things that I've seen, just, you know, visually with the wiring and whatnot. And I will leave it at that. So let's take the bells off and do a quick look inside and see what I think about that. Okay, so I got these guys apart. If you look at them here, you've got the T-motor one with the thinner windings, and you've got the Meps with the thicker windings. Again, I really wish this camera would focus better, but anyways. They basically look about the same. I was saying that this one seemed to be a little messier, but in general, it's really not that messy. It doesn't really look any messier than this one. These are very well done, for multi-strand, these are very neat. These are a little messy maybe for single strand, I don't know. I don't really look at motors all that close, so maybe I'm, you know, speaking out of ignorance, I don't know. But anyways, looks pretty decent. I weighed these guys here. This one weighs 19.5 grams like this. And this one, hang on, let me double check that. I think it was 18 something. Hang on, double check that. Yeah. This one was like 18.4 grams. So this is base here is over a gram heavier than the Meps base. Now, what is the difference in weight? I mean, these are both 2306. Measured those. Everything's on par there. So you've got probably more copper, maybe, than this one because there's thinner windings. That's possibly, I'm not sure. I think the bigger difference though is probably the base. When you look at these guys, you can see a difference in thickness. This is way thicker than this base here, which is going to be way more durable than this base here. So yeah, both of them put together pretty well. Had trouble getting the bell off on the T-motor one. I had to find the right 2mm that got all the way down in there and got a nice grip in there, and then it came off pretty easily. Yeah, so they both use 2mm nuts that basically look the same. One thing I did notice on the T-motor one, the nut that's on there actually was marked with the 12.9, so the other one wasn't. Maybe it is 12.9, I don't know. But anyways, makes this a little more durable than this one. So you've got that. Now, the part that was most interesting to me though, so checking out the bells. One thing to note, dropping stuff. One thing to note on the Meps, it's got a slight taper on the edge here, so it's a little wider at the top than it is at the bottom. At the bottom, basically measures 0.5 millimeter more across the diameter than this one. But the thing that's most interesting to me is when I was looking inside here, this is definitely thinner. When you look above the little steel ring that goes around, both of these have a steel ring. All motors do, I found. They have a steel ring that the magnets attach to, and then that steel ring is inside the bell here. The part that I noticed on this is that this outer shell, and you can't see it on camera, but man, if you zoom in, you can definitely tell, especially when you look at the bottom here, you can see the outer shell, a seam line with whatever is up under, which I guess is part of the steel ring up under there. The T-motor definitely does not have that. So durability wise, this is definitely not going to be durable. Even if this is Unibell, it's Unibell with like just basically a solid piece of thin aluminum, not thick aluminum that you would think when you're thinking about Unibell. You're thinking, you know, it's going to be more durable. But if it's just thin aluminum on the outside there, it's not going to be more durable. And that's kind of weighed itself out or made itself evident in a couple of videos from like Fly High and Flyfish or Fly, I can't remember his name. Philly dude. Guy, I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen here. I can't remember. I'm sorry, buddy. Anyways, my mind is just going, yeah, it happened to get old. Anyways, so this is definitely not going to be as durable as this. And this is $7 more than this. So yeah, I don't know. But you can definitely, if you look in close, if you take one of these bells off and you look in really close, you can definitely see the lip here is much more pronounced on this one than it is on this one, even though when you look at this way, they look to be about the same. The lip inside there, where this curves around and you come back up to the steel ring there, it's much, this outer shell is much thinner than it is on this one. So durability is definitely going to go to this one. I don't have to fly, I know it's durability is going to be way more on this than it is on this one. And this weighs more. I'm not sure where the extra weight's coming from. That's what I haven't figured out yet. I'm not sure. Like it's, let me weigh here real quick again. So this one is 12.5. Maybe they're about the same actually. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Scratch that. This is not heavier. This is heavier. 12.7 grams, 12.5 grams. There's definitely more meat on this one than there is on this one. So yeah, this has got more meat all around. On the bell, on the base, just a much beefier motor. Performance-wise, now if you're not crashing, maybe the other's good, I don't know. If you look at specs, the MEPS motor does better spec-wise based on manufacturer specs, and let's just assume the manufacturers are given true specs there. I'm not going to get into that. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just going to give you the specs. This one generates more thrust, more amps. That may or may not be a good thing. More watts than this one on similar props. So yeah, so maybe in performance, just strict out performance, this one may outperform the T motor, but in long-term durability, I think the T motor is going to win out. So far it's proven itself very, very durable in my flying. And like I said, I haven't flown the MIPS, and I'm not really planning on flying these. I don't want to take the others off. If I break my T motors, then maybe I'll do a follow-up and fly these guys. Or if I build another quad and I haven't put motors on it, maybe I'll put these on there just to try them, but probably not. Anyways, yeah, that's my take on it. You guys take it for what it's worth. That's my review of these MEPS motors. I mean, overall, packaging looked good. Motor looks okay. I think performance-wise, it'll probably be fine. Durability, though, is the thing that I think is going to be lacking in this. And I'm not going to get into the aspects of doxing and all that other crap that went on with MEPS. You can go watch other videos for that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to speculate on that. That's a whole different scenario. Let's motor to motor. I don't care about company. You guys can bicker and argue about that all you want. I don't like what happened. I'm not condoning what happened. I'm just not going to talk about what happened. There's no point. Anyways, so performance-wise, these are probably pretty good. And I think even Chris Rosser did a video on these. I'm pretty sure he found these to be pretty good performance-wise, on the bench anyways. So, but long-term durability-wise, the T motor is definitely going to win out. And these are $7 cheaper than these per motor. $7 cheaper. You put 4 of these on, you can actually get 5 of these motors for less than 4 of these motors. 4 of these motors will cost you 80 bucks, right? Yeah, 80 bucks because they're 20 bucks a piece. 5 of these motors would be 75 bucks. So even if these weren't more durable, you've got an extra motor than this, but these are going to be more durable. So 5 motors, price of 4 motors, durability is definitely going to win out over these. So there you go. You guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.